want to be alone. Tell me if you want to follow me now, to follow me. Take me to your arms and never leave me. Don't leave me, boy. Tell me if you want to follow me now, to follow me. Take me to your arms and never leave me. Don't leave me, boy.
Four French drivers at the French Grand Prix trying to win this on the final lap. The three wide again, Guillaume down the inside. Guillaume moves across, they're both in front of Milan and Pouget.
But before you know it, we find ourselves here in the very final race of the competition.
And then they see truck racing and they think, this is crazy, you know, these are 5-ton machines, 1,200 horsepower brake.
Oh, look at that switchback. Oh, he's been mugged and it's ready to go out.
Gregory now, I love it. 16.5 minutes gone. Senna Lanson tries to go for the race lead.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Chaz Draycott Media, and welcome to round 12 of the sim racing magazine GT4 Challenge here from the gorgeous Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya, one of the absolute staples of the F1 calendar for many, many years, and one of the finest circuits in not just Spain, but the world. My name is Chaz Draycott. I'm alone in the commentary box this evening. Unfortunately, Ed May has commitments elsewhere, so whatever he is doing, I cannot remember, I won't lie. But best of luck, Ed. ahead and hope you're having a fantastic time wherever you may be. Thank you for joining me, though, tonight, everybody. We're going to have a fantastic time here for round 12 of the season. This fantastic championship keeps getting better and better. It's very, very close in the championship standings, and this race will signify the end of the third quarter of the season. Only 3 race meetings to go after this one. Jake Cranstone leads the way, 13 points clear of Taylor Adams. I don't think Taylor's here again tonight either. He missed the previous round at Zolder. Nils Kaur took a fantastic race victory, his first one of the season, ahead of his teammate Ayrton Williams, with Lewis Ward in 5th position in the championship now. Dan McCauley's moved up to 6th place, Apex Racing Academy going well. Callum Brandt is 7th ahead of Matt Slight, Don Brennan and Guy Edwards. Simon Povey, after another non-score, drops down to 15th position. Over in the Teams Championship, Satellite Racing Blue have a bit of a clear advantage now over the likes of Regenta Sim Racing and Apex Racing Academy, who are nearly 100 points ahead of RD Simsport. There certainly is a bit of daylight between them at the moment, but we come here to what is a fantastic circuit at Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. As I've said, one of my very, very favourites in the world. And we have Tom Stanley on our screens right now in the Prestanda Nomad Aston Martin. Good to give a shout out to our championship sponsors as well. You would have seen them all in the trailer that just played a moment ago. Orris Digital, Crockery Direct, Derbyshire Holiday Homes and Bespoke Shelters. Thank you very much to each and every one of you for your wonderful support. Got some liveries to look at. This is Ben Chalcraft's livery for this evening. He's got the very shiny Saltaire Brewery livery once again, but look at the colours for this week. We had a bit of a discussion over this today and said it looked like those little sweets that you can get called fruit salads. They're usually paired up with a sweet called a blackjack. You don't often get them in sort of on their own. They're always paired up with something, but yeah, it's called Nectaron, the Saltaire Brewery special tonight. Ben running a different livery each and every round. Just trying to see if we have any of the top of the Pops drivers out there tonight. We do not have Kyle Ridley, nor do we have Stephen Burns. Bit of a smaller grid this evening, actually, to be fair. We've got less entries than usual for this one. 25 drivers in the session right now. Seems a little bit unfair not to show all 25 of them, doesn't it? We can change that there, and you'll see Simon Price just pops up at the bottom of your screen there. But there's a number of drivers with other commitments, work commitments, family commitments, and so on, outside of the sim that will not be racing with us here tonight. But the conditions are looking very, very tasty right now for this round of the championship. 34-degree track temperature. It's not too hot, but it's going to stay dry here at Catalunya. It's going to be a 1 hour long race, this one. Don't forget, as of the previous round at Zolder, the fuel limit was changed in the cars. It was reduced from 40% to 33%, and there were cars running out of fuel on the final lap of the race. I think it was Toby Johns in the TAJ Racing McLaren that was the one that fell out, or ran out of fuel, I should say. This is Simon Price in the Space Raiders livery on his car. Let's see if the pit lane camera works from there. No, it does not. He's actually got the nutritional value on the back. Only 40p as well, can you believe it? Simon running the Lunchbox Legends liveries this season and having a different one for each circuit. He's got pickled onion Space Raiders. Fantastic flavour. Absolutely fantastic flavour. It's always good fun though, always a good laugh. Simon Povey back out there in the Spontex CDM Esports Mercedes. I did make him a new livery as he asked for, and he didn't like it after having 2 looks at it, so he's still stuck with what he calls the cursed livery. This white machine hasn't brought him much luck in previous rounds. I think in the last 5 race meetings he hasn't scored any points at all, so he's going to be hoping to turn around that curse tonight. Jamie Pounder is going well in the Aston Martin. Currently in 8th position, he and his teammate Tom Stanley right together. And you'll notice at the very top of the pile we have this man, Daniel Parron-Smith is back with us. He's not been with us since, let me just check. He was very, very good early on in the season. He's not been with us since round 4 of the championship, actually, which was the second race at Watkins Glen. So only in the first quarter of the season was the last time that we saw Daniel, but he's been brilliant for SRM Black. He just rejoins the circuit there. Ooh, right in front of Dan McCauley, who takes to the gravel and will reset the car to go back out for another lap. Not quite sure what Daniel's waiting for here. Maybe a teammate of his. Paul Goffin is nowhere near him on the circuit. Wasn't sure who he was waiting for there. We've got the Saudi livery back on these two Walliams racing machines, Stephen Codman and his teammate Mark Johnson. Good to see those two in flying formation with that very shiny design. We've got Matthias Tem back with us as well. Speaking of shiny designs, the gorgeous Fury Simsport Mercedes back on our screens once more. Matthias has been a very exciting driver to watch this season. I love the look of this car. Really does look very cool on that Merc. Making his way around the very difficult turn 3. We'll go on board with him. You can see that the drivers will run it out wide to the left, but they'll use a hell of a lot of road to the left there. They will almost put their right-hand wheels onto that curb, and they will get away with it as well. They'll be able to use all of that without getting a telling off from the sim. Hello to all of you watching with me on YouTube tonight. Hope you're all having a fantastic evening. Thank you very much for joining me here on Chaz Draycott Media. Let me know your thoughts and any questions potentially ahead of the race tonight. And any predictions for any finishing positions as John Roberts has a bit of a moment there out of turn 10. And around she goes. We'll look at Paul Goffin, 18th at the moment in practice. Don't think Paul's been with us for a round or two. Yeah, we didn't see him in rounds 9, 10 or 11. We didn't see him in rounds 2, 3 or 4 either. So a bit of a patchy season so far for Paul Goffin. As you may have heard me mention before on solo broadcasts as well, there may be a few moments where I do go a little bit quiet for a bit just while I have a drink and just take a breath. Solo broadcasting is not easy at all. There is Povey making his way around to complete the practice session. It's now hit an hour and we will get the 15-minute qualifying session underway here at Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. This very, very tricky track. It's going to demand a lot from the drivers, and I think we're going to see an interesting qualifying session here. I'm not sure if Daniel Parron-Smith will repeat that time and get onto pole. We've had purple sectors from Jamie Pounder and from the driver that was in second place in that session, Ayrton Williams. Let's have a look, shall we? At the end of the pit lane, all the drivers making their way out. Look. They've got the huge start-finish straight grandstand and the massive sort of podium. What would you call that? The positional sort of screening? I don't know what you'd call that big tall thing. There is a name for them. Is it gantry? Not sure if it's a gantry, is it? Bit of a traffic jam there at the end of the pit lane as the Walliams Mercedes get underway. Toby Ward moving over onto one side. Satellite Racing getting going, and then Press Standard Nomad as well. Ian Pfeiffer on the move. Matt Slight, I believe, in the mix there as well. We'll have a look, shall we, at Ian Pfeiffer. He's got the two Press Standard Nomad cars directly in front of him, the Aston Martins. And Toby Ward in the Porsche as well. Not sure if Ian was trying to catch up with his teammates in the other Satellite Racing cars. The Satellite Racing Blue and Teal. He is trying to get around the Aston Martin, isn't he? To try and catch up. John Roberts is the furthest around the circuit so far in the boosted Motorsport McLaren. Usually we would see Taylor Adams and Matt Slight working together at the very front of the train when it comes to qualifying. But with no Taylor Adams to be seen this evening, it is just Matt Slight at the moment, and he is definitely not out at the front of the train. He's in a lot of traffic there, but Matt's still been an absolute stalwart of the series. Has been scoring consistent points, but not enough to single-handedly hold the team up in Taylor Adams' absence. Now we're running the historic layout of the circuit tonight as well, which means that when they go around this final sector, they will not be slamming on the brakes and going right down towards that god-awful chicane. They take a much wider run around the old penultimate corner. Still is in some forms as well. Some series do still use it for that. But most of the time you'll see people using the chicane. Across the start-finish line then goes John Roberts. He's got a few cars in front of him as well. I think one of them is Ben Idris Abdullahi, one of the only cars we've not really looked at so far. Same with his teammate as well, Dennis Van Beelen, the Chicane Online Racing team, right together. Ben Chalcraft does a purple Sector 1 so far. Jensen Burnett and McJohn Deere in the chat, good to see you. Daniel Kelleher as well. Great to see you guys. Hope you're all doing very, very well. Thank you for joining me on this Tuesday evening. Jake Cranstone as well, another driver we haven't looked at yet. The championship leader, of course. Very under the radar so far, but he's been sat in the pits through the practice session that we've seen. Jake has really been on form. And he's going to hopefully continue that on here in this round of the championship. He was making great strides through the pack at Zolder, but then a couple of mistakes really cost him big. He's done 2 purple sectors so far. Pushing the car like mad in this early stage. But doing it elegantly as well, though. You can see that he's not really sort of out of control or anything. He's just smooth everywhere. Oh, that's wide, though. Pushing his luck through the second to last corner. We've got just over 11 minutes left, and that is, yeah, really pushing your luck through the final corner there. And he's actually going to, well, completely pull over from that lap. He's going to wind it up for another one. Martin Kenyon goes through in the McLaren, sets the time, 1:50.3. Lee Berridge goes second fastest. Matthias Tem goes third for now. Then it's Ben Idris Abdullahi. John Roberts next up. Then Simon Price. They're all just in order of when they've crossed the line so far. Ayrton Williams, though, there he is, right to the top in the Satellite Racing Blue Aston Martin. Nils Kaur does not put a valid time on the board. Stephen Codman is third fastest now. Tom Stanley goes up into 5th position. Jamie Pounder goes third. Matt Slight gets on the board as well in the BMW. Whoa, Ayrton really pushing the Aston Martin around there, trying his very best to get the most out of it. Here is reigning champion Nils Kaur. Nils winning at Zolder last time out. It was a much overdue win to win round 11 of the championship on your sort of title defence season. It's not the perfect way to go about it, but with Nils' consistency, he is right up there in the championship hunt. He's not too far behind Jake Cranstone. I say that's 40 points behind. It's Jake Cranstone and Taylor Adams really that are a bit of a 2-horse race at the minute. But you get 22 points, 25 points for winning one of these endurance races. Then you get 20 points for winning a sprint race, of which we have 2 on the night. After this evening, we have a week off on the 1st of October. Then we head to Zandvoort for rounds 13 and 14. Then Circuit Gilles Villeneuve for the 15th round of the championship. And then we complete the season at Fuji, which is going to be an absolute belter. And it's going to rain there as well. So a real spicy end to the campaign. Here's Toby Johns, currently in 13th position. A number of cars haven't put a time on the board yet. Callum Brandt is just about to complete a lap, and is it going to go on the board? Yes, it is. 3rd fastest for Callum in the RD SimSport machine. Jake Cranstone in the background there, winding himself up for a lap time. No time from Dan McCauley yet, Ian Pfeiffer or Paul Goffin. Here's Dan. We don't have Lewis Ward out there on track this evening either, which is a big shame, as there he is. There's the reigning champion we know. Nils Kaur to the top in the Aston Martin. Him and his teammate working well together. Just looking down to see who else we've not got a time from. I was just about to say Kim Such, but Kim just crosses the line there. 1:52.8 so far, so needing little improvement. No time actually from Daniel Parron-Smith yet, and don't forget he was on pole. Well, he wasn't on pole, but he was fastest in practice. Now I know the new skate game demo has just come out recently, but he doesn't need to grind along that curb quite like that does Daniel Parron-Smith. Crossing the line, and yeah, I'm not surprised. It's not a valid time from him. He was outside the track limits for sure there around the penultimate corner. Simon Povey's gone 3rd fastest. Jamie Pounder's gone 4th for Prestanda Nomad. We look here at Callum Brandt, currently in 5th position, to be the next car to cross the line. There's quite a gap of cars. Nobody else in front of him at the moment. He's the sort of lead car in the train, effectively. Guides the car down the hill through that very tricky penultimate corner. It's really hard to keep it under control through there. The BMW's not quite as suited to this place, it seems. Matt Slight, only 11th fastest at the moment. He is the quickest BMW. Brandt across the line. Surely an improvement. Yes, it is. Moves up to 3rd place. What about Jake Cranstone? Championship leader at the moment. No valid time from him. Matthias Tem next up. Ben Idris Abdullahi does a purple middle section. Look at that. Brilliant stuff. Well, that tells me that the BMWs are definitely not as badly suited to this place as I thought. Brilliant stuff by Ben Idris Abdullahi. He splits the 2 Satellite Racing blue machines. And I know the Chicane Online Racing guys are very friendly with Satellite Racing as well. So they'll be all really pleased with that. We still wait now to see Daniel Parron-Smith and Dan McCauley set valid lap times. Daniel Parron-Smith now just heading through the last couple of corners. This is how it looks from a driver's perspective. Look, you really cut that inside line. He's overdone it again though. He now tries to wind himself up for another lap. I'm not sure that's going to work, to be honest with you, because he's going to have a bit of reduced pace. Across the line once more. He's still got 6 minutes left in the session, but it's whether the car is still at its best. Ben Chalcraft improves, goes up into 9th position. Well inside the top 10 now. Matthias Tem has slipped down to 12th. Slight is 13th. Dan McCauley puts the time on the board. Only good enough for 17th so far, but still mighty close between this field. Mark Fletcher jumps into the chat. Hello, Mark. Good to see you, mate. I had a very good birthday, thank you. It was very, very chilled. Not quite even finished the birthday celebrations yet. Many meals to go out for. Went out for a meal last night with my girlfriend and a bunch of the family. It was great. Really lovely. But, yeah, all through the weekend, it was, yeah, very chill. Very lovely. Yeah, Daniel Parron-Smith, considering he was fastest in practice, is now the only driver not to have set a time in qualifying. We saw at the start of the season that Daniel was very fast. Not inconsistent, but just right on the edge. There was moments where you thought he definitely needs to chill a little bit and keep it under wraps, but he's an absolutely never-say-die driver and was giving it everything. Tom Stanley goes 5th fastest. Quicker than Simon Povey, quicker than Jake Cranstone, quicker than his teammate Martin Kenyon, who's currently 9th at the moment as well. Martin's having a fantastic run of form at present. Martin is the only driver in the pit lane as well, as things stand. Nils Kaur remains fastest. What does Daniel Parron-Smith do now? That looked a little bit tidier that time round. No improvements in either of those sectors, but it did look quick. Only enough for 8th quickest. Definitely not what we saw from him during practice. Just keeping an eye on a few drivers a bit lower down, like Matt Slight. I mean, Matt's in 17th place at the moment. So long as he gets a clean lap on the board, he should improve there. This is the thing, it's very easy to get an incident point, or an off track as they're known, around this place. We've got Sano Shantalik saying, hey Chaz, I'm also a September baby as well. Mine's upcoming on the 26th. Well, to be fair, it's my brother's birthday on the 26th as well, actually. So, happy early birthday to you, mate. Hope you enjoyed the day. And thank you very much. Glad you enjoy the content. Yes, for those of you that enjoy my aviation-based content, and tomorrow night I will be doing a live stream of Tower Simulator 3, the air traffic control simulator, which has revolutionised my channel and given me the amount of subscribers I've got, really. It's 90% of my viewership. And I've never streamed a run-through of it before. And to celebrate my 100th episode, I'm going to be doing a live stream tomorrow night from 9 PM UK time. Really looking forward to it. Should be a lot of fun. So here is Matthias Tem, currently in 13th position. We know Matthias can do better than that. Like I say, though, it's just a case of having a clean lap. The Mercedes apparently not the car to be in around here, though. Simon Povey, the fastest of them at the moment, in 7th place, can only manage a 150. Fastest time so far, 149.6 by Nils Kaur. Lee Berridge and Daniel Parron-Smith about to improve. Parron-Smith goes up into 5th. Berridge goes into 11th as Tem goes off. And that will invalidate Matthias' lap. Dan McCauley, another Mercedes driver, looking for a bit more from the car in that final sector. Really wide out the final corner. I'm not sure whether that lap will count for him. Keeps it across the line. It does count. 11th for Dan. Ahead of Lee Berridge. Ahead of Van Beelen. But at the moment, in the very strange lighting that we have, it's Nils Kaur and his teammate Ayrton Williams first and third. Ben Idris Abdullahi in second position. You can see Matthias Tem there at the side of the road. He pulled over and waited for a moment to get back running again. Neither of these guys improving at the moment, but they're just putting lap after lap after lap in. Martin Kenyon still sat in the pit lane after the lap time that he's done. Callum Brandt sat there as well. And Simon Price. They're the three cars sat pit side at the moment. We've got Ian Pfeiffer, Stephen Codman crossing the line. Stephen Codman currently going well in 9th position. He's just moved up there. Jamie Pounder just displaces him. But Codman right in the thick of it there, just inside the top 10 ahead of Kenyon and Macaulay. Martin Kenyon, though, qualifying really, really well at the moment. Martin scored a bunch of points in the second sprint race a few weeks ago at Donington Park. He's on 18 points so far this season, but he had a bit of a slow start to his campaign, didn't score many points for a little bit, and then got back underway and now is cracking on. Toby Ward is off the road and back to the pits. There's Mark Johnson in the background. Callum Brandt into the pit lane. And with only 30 seconds left on the clock, drivers need to be starting their final laps now. Jake Cranstone, I don't think, is going to be able to start another lap here. Might be close. No, it's definitely not going to be, is it? Actually, I'm being silly. Heads through the penultimate corner now. Cuts a lot of it on the inside. Floats the car sideways. The drivers, don't forget, will get the chance to complete the laps that they're on. But this does not look like an improvement for Jake Cranstone. I don't think it will be. Across the line he goes. And no, it's a 49.8 for Cranstone. Ayrton Williams into the pits. Nils Kaur into the pits. I think Matthias Tem carrying on. Tem's done 2 green sectors so far, so he's definitely going to improve on his lap time here. As in the background, Ben Idris Abdullahi is in the wall. Matthias Tem goes P10. Not Tem. And then Tom Stanley is the next car around. Jamie Pounder just behind his teammate. Stanley's improved in the first sector. Oh, his teammates just pounded the wall. Stanley across the line. What does he do with his lap? Does not improve, unfortunately for him. Mark Johnson next up. Kim Such will be the next car across the line in the BMW. Mark Johnson, no improvement there. Doesn't look like Kim's improving this time round either. What about Toby Johns, currently in 22nd position? Running a little bit wide on the way in the McLaren, but then tucks it in nicely through the final corner. Lets it run wide on the exit. Not sure if he'll get away with that, actually. We saw what Dan Macaulay got away with earlier. I think he'll be very safe on that one. Toby Johns across the line. No improvement overall, actually. Dennis Van Beelen next up. He's hoping to improve on his time. He does. He will start from 15th at best at the moment. What about Dan Macaulay? 2 green sectors for him. And it means he does improve, but not by enough to gain a place. So Martin Kenyon will be the next car in front of him. And that will be qualifying brought to an end, everybody. Nils Kaur takes another pole position. That's his 3rd pole position of the season. He took pole as well at Zolder, which is very interesting. So 2 pole positions in a row. No, he didn't actually. It was Simon Povey, wasn't it, that took pole at Zolder. I do apologise. It was the 2 Aston Martins that were behind him. But it goes quiet for a sec. It's quite a long lap here at Barcelona, Catalunya. So it will take a second for the session to tick over, as it gives the drivers plenty of time to get their current lap completed and obviously get back round. But I hope you're enjoying the one-man band show so far, everybody. Thank you very much for joining me on this Tuesday night. Thanks, as always, to our championship sponsors, Orris Digital, Crockery Direct, Derbyshire Holiday Homes and Bespoke Shelters. and Andy Marston at Sim Racing Magazine as well. Okay, the session ticks over now. The cars have disappeared. You'll see a bit of flicking around as it all switches. And now we will get our grid. Let's see how this all lines up then. Nils Kaur, pole position with Ben Idris Abdullahi alongside him. Fantastic qualifying by Ben. Ayrton Williams starting from third place. Callum Brandt alongside him in the McLaren. We then have Jake Cranstone and Daniel Parran-Smith with Tom Stanley and Simon Povey on the fourth row of the grid. Jamie Pounder is next up with Matthias Temm in 10th. Stephen Codman and Martin Kenyon make up the sixth row of the grid. Then it's Dan McCauley and Lee Berridge side by side with Dennis Van Beelen and Ben Chalcraft in 15th and 16th. Ian Pfeiffer is 17th ahead of Matt Slight, with John Roberts and Paul Goffin completing the top 20. We then have Mark Johnson 21st, Toby Johns in 22nd, Toby Ward is 23rd, and then Kim Such in the 24th spot. And Simon Price, been done dirty there by the graphics, he will line up in 25th position at the back of the pack. So it's going to be Nils Kaur starting from pole position. He's going to be on the inside line and he's going to have the big old BMW of Ben Idris Abdullahi alongside him. Just waiting for a couple more drivers now. Ayrton Williams, Matthias Temm and Matt Slight to take to the grid. We don't have the full formation lap here at Catalunya because it's a mighty long lap. So they tend to start and form up on this back straight before they get going. I know that Matt Slight will definitely want to do more than finish in 18th place in this one. That's where he's qualified and he won't be too pleased with that. Only 25 cars in the field tonight. We usually have over 30, but with 25 it means that there's only going to be 5 drivers that don't score points here this evening. So it's an important night if you want to score some points. It's one of your best opportunities. Martin Kenyon doing really well with that qualifying performance, so that was one of the standout performances for me, that. Right up there, ready to throw what he can at the front of this pack with the DXT team. DXT well represented in the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship that I've broadcasted for a few seasons. I will also be racing GT4 cars again very soon with the likes of Ed May, my co-commentator, and the lovely Ben Chalcraft. The three of us will be racing in the Evolution Sim Racing GT4 Sprint Series starting on Monday nights in just a couple of weeks. Really looking forward to that. But now, it is time for round number 12 of the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge, which gets underway with Nils Kaur leading them out the final corner, and his teammate Ayrton Williams goes with him. Ben Idris Abdullahi in third position, with Callum Brandt trying to hunt them down, but everybody cleanly away. Jake Cranstone moving this way and that way, trying to find some ground. They're nearly 4 wide in the background there as Ian Pfeiffer goes down the inside of Dennis Van Beelen. He's crossed the grass on the inside, just about gets away with that as, I think maybe a drama. No, John Roberts just loses 1 or 2 places in quick succession. He doesn't quite go around. We've got a Mercedes gaggle here together. Matthias Temm on the outside. On the inside is Stephen Codman. They all make their way down towards turn 4. Let's go on board with our championship leader, shall we? I think there may have been a little bit of contact behind there as Simon Povey went down the inside of Tom Stanley. I wanted to go on board here with Jake Cranstone, our championship leader, and see what his point of view is. He's got Daniel Parran-Smith, then Callum Brandt. But as it ended last time at Zolder, it is a 1-2 lead at the moment for Satellite Racing Blue. And they are in a great position to lead and control this race. Parran-Smith having an issue there. Is that a slowdown penalty? I think it might have been a slowdown for him. Either that or he just lost a lot of ground. Is he still serving a slowdown of sorts? I think he is, yeah. Simon Povey gets alongside him. Now what's it going to be like at this long sweeping hairpin in the background as well? There's a move by one of the Prestanda cars. Temm has gone into the side of one of them. I think Matthias Temm wanted to defend the position. He's had a bit of door-to-door contact there with, I think, Tom Stanley was the car in question. He's gone hot and Povey's around. Simon Povey is completely sideways in the middle of the road. Doesn't get hit by anybody, but has to sit at the back of the field. In this miserable season, Parran-Smith just didn't quite leave enough room down the inside. Great avoidance there by Ian Pfeiffer. That was a scary moment for him. Watch this. Barely see smoke, barely see smoke, barely see smoke, no smoke at all, and car. Suddenly, car in front. Unfortunately, not enough affordable space there left by Daniel Parron-Smith. Look at Jake Cranstone already. He's championship leader at the minute. Taylor Adams, his nearest rival, is not here. And he is already absolutely going for it. You can see by the body language of the car, he's moving around a lot this way and that way to try and get past whoever he can. Callum Brandt is having to put up a little bit of a defence at the moment. He's not having to be too aggressive with it. Here's Lee Berridge and Dan McCauley side by side. They've got Ian Pfeiffer just behind with a front row seat. Stephen Codman just ahead of the pair of them as they lean on each other a bit through the left-hander. Then there's contact on the exit and Berridge is around. Berridge is off and into the wall. The two of them bounced sideways through that corner. I'm not sure if Dan left enough room or whether Lee had to bounce back on. A little bit of a lean there, and I think Dan thought he was clear of Lee. And unfortunately the McLaren ends up in the barriers. Jamie Pounder and Tom Stanley have just swapped places for Prestanda Nomad. Matthias Tem now back onto the rear of Tom Stanley's car as they head back down the hill towards the final corner. It's a mighty clumsy part of the circuit in a GT4 car. This Dennis Van Beelen, by the way, has done the fastest first sector of anyone as they power their way down the start-finish straight. Daniel Parron-Smith does the fastest lap of the race so far in the Porsche. Well, he's got a bit of distance to cars ahead of him as Ben Idris Abdullahi and Callum Brandt go side by side. Ben's run wide into him and they're both going to go in the wall. That was the battle for third position. Brandt back onto the circuit at the earliest convenience. Keeps it stuck to the inside line. What about Idris Abdullahi? The two of them just glued together. Let's have a look at it. This was earlier actually. So Ben's gone way too hot out the final corner, and this is how it all happened. So Callum gets the run down the start-finish straight. Uses the slipstream, gets closer and closer, moves out to the right-hand side, and here we'll get a better view of it. So Callum's down the inside, nice and tidy onto the apex. Same with Ben. The two of them do just get glued together. Callum didn't necessarily squeeze him hard onto the apex or anything. There was then another off for Simon Price, I believe. Simon Price has been off the circuit. He's got Kim Such in front of him. Just bounces off the back of the BMW in front, and he's in the wall hard there. So a bit of shenanigans in the first couple of minutes of the race. And it's Nils Kaur, reigning champion of the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge, doing what he needs to do at the moment, leading the way from Ayrton Williams. Jake Cranstone now up into third place after that debacle. Daniel Parron-Smith in fourth place. Ian Pfeiffer has gained 7 places so far in this race. He's having an absolute corker. He's up behind Dan McCauley now with Dennis Van Beelen and Ben Idris Abdullahi, the two Chicane Online Racing teammates together. Callum Brandt is having to defend a bit here from Matt Slight, who is side by side with Toby Johns. Toby going well here. John Roberts in the mix as well. Matt Slight having a race to forget here. Not really having the run he would have wanted. John and the likes are braking early to compromise the run into the first corner to make sure nobody hits nobody else's. Matt Slight off the road there and now back on, so he's lost a bunch of places. Now slips outside of the points with Toby Ward going through into 20th place. Not sure what on earth caused that there as Toby cuts across him, says nope, my position, thank you. Simon Povey there in the background, recovering after his earlier spin, the contact with Daniel Parron-Smith as well. This is a great scrap between all these guys here. John Roberts well in the thick of it, with Paul Goffin just behind him, and then Mark Johnson, but just in front, you've got Toby Johns having a go at Callum Brandt as well. I'm not sure if Callum's car is damaged from that earlier incident, and yeah, it looks like it's not behaving itself. He's just trying to drag it back, I think, to make it through to the first pit stop. John has to back out of that there. Yeah, look at the capability that John's car has over Callum's. That's a massive, massive shame. quite sure if it was misjudgment or what by either of them, but the two cars just got stuck to each other so quickly. I think that was a bit of misjudgment there by John Roberts. Thought that the gap was completely gone, or at least he thought that the overlap was gone, I should say. To Callum Brandt, and Callum gets a bit of salt rubbed in the wound there. This is Paul Goffin around the outside of Toby Ward. You've then got Mark Johnson just behind these guys as well in the Walliams Racing Mercedes. Let's go on board with Mark, see what he can see. And that is a little stripy Porsche just in front. So they head onto the start-finish straight once again. We're on to the 5th lap of the race now, in round 12 of the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge here on Chaz Draycott Media. Hope you're enjoying the show so far, everybody. Hope the racing's been good. I mean, I know it has. It's always good here. Mark Johnson looks down the inside of of Toby Ward. Matt Slight could potentially pick up from that. Simon Povey now wanting to get past Kim Such. Mercedes right up behind. Is Simon going to dive out to the inside? He is. Goes for a move down the inside. Is he there? Kim's left a bit of room down the inside, so it's clear that Simon got the overlap. Simon's going to be on the outside now for turn 5. Gets on the brakes about the same point, tries to carry it around the outside. Can he get the run and use the slingshot on the exit? I think he might be able to. No, the BMW using its legs on the exit of the corner. Simon now around the outside, which will become the inside for the next part. He's got it done, but I'm not sure if that's a slowdown penalty or not. That was a lot of that curb cut there. Now Ayrton Williams is starting to come under threat here from Jake Cranstone. The two of them had a great tussle at Zolder just a week ago, and now we get round 2 of it as Ayrton has to defend 2nd place from the championship leader. Callum Brandt, unfortunately, continuing to drop positions here. Not having a good time of it back there is Callum, I'm afraid. Listen to Jake lifting there. There might be an element of fuel saving in this race as well. Let's not forget that it's not down to them having to be flat out all the way through like a sprint race. They've not got the same fuel limit that they used to. They've got less in the cars now, but we pretty much guarantee 2 pit stops. As Kim Such and Lee Berry just side by side in the background there. Kim lets Lee go. Simon looks down the inside of Matt Slight. Can't believe we're watching Simon Povey and Matt Slight battle for 20th and 21st positions here. They're both having pretty poor evenings by their standards. Callum Brandt has been into the pits early to get his damage fixed. Now that's going to be maybe a good move for him actually, because it's going to give him some clear air. It means that he can run about on his own for a bit, use the pace of that McLaren. Keep an eye out for Callum. Don't forget though, he lost a lot of time before coming into the pits, and obviously is the reason he was down there in the first place. Sounds like Jake is saving quite a bit here. Certainly lifting and coasting in areas of the circuit, isn't he? He's not making an immediate move to get past right now as we go back to this battle further down. Simon Povey down the inside of Matt Slight, and Lee Berridge says, I'll go with you. Thank you very much indeed. Matt Slight goes in a bit hot, and unfortunately that doesn't work out for him. Another battle further up. White and green versus black and green as Apex Racing Academy's Dan McCauley chases down Stephen Codman. Just in front of that, Matthias Thames still looking at the back of those 2 Prestanda Nomad Aston Martins. Those Aston Martins have been going really well though in the later stages of the season. Fantastic results from Tom Stanley and Jamie Pounder. It's been lovely to have such a team enter the championship. Prestanda Nomad is a team that I've raced against for many years on iRacing and seen their many iterations. As you can see in the background there, Dennis Van Beelen and Ben Idris Abdullahi using all of the road in their Chicane Online Racing Aston Martin and BMW respectively. Back to this though, Codman trying to hold on in the Walliams car ahead of Dan McCauley. Oh, Dan just over-rotating the car a little bit there on the grass on the way in, but That's the thing in these cars, they really have to try and find any advantage they can to get some rotation. A lot of the cars in flying formation at the moment, actually. We've got 2 Astons, 2 Porsches, 2 Astons, then 4 Mercedes. And then a bit further down, we've got 2 McLarens, 2 Porsches, or we did have, then 2 Mercedes, and all the BMWs together in the field as well. I think John Roberts just lost a couple of places after a little excursion onto the gravel for a moment. Yeah, looking back, it was Toby Johns and Paul Goffin both overtook John Roberts. We need to keep our eye on this, though, because Ayrton Williams and Jake Cranston right together for second position now. Is this going to be something that gets determined by pit stops? I think with the way Jake is saving fuel and not really attacking Ayrton, it will be. Here is that battle again. Toby Johns with Paul Goffin trying to go around the outside. Can he make that work? Can John Roberts make something work here as well? He has to watch these two. He tries to cut back on Goffin. Doesn't work for him. Having to trail brake the Porsche in front is Goffin just to keep it tidy. Windscreen wipers come on for John Roberts. I was going to say the windscreen looked very dirty a moment ago. I'm not quite sure whether that was just down to the trip through the gravel. Up through the gears, Goffin pulls out to the right just as John tries to overtake him. Goffin's later on the brakes than Toby Johns, puts it down the inside. Oh, only just enough room left by Toby there. Now Roberts sees an opportunity. Can he make anything of this? Can he try and get some sort of run around the outside of turn 3? No, the car doesn't give him what he wants. Then he's got Toby Ward, Simon Povey, Mark Johnson, Lee Berridge and Matt Slight all in the picture as well. What a great tussle this is. John Roberts looks down the inside, nothing doing there. He's going to wait for his teammate now to try and pick that apart as well. Simon Povey moving past Toby Ward. Is he trying to go around the outside? Nothing doing. There's all good. Send up the inside there by Berridge on Johnson. Gets the overlap gone as well before the exit the corner. Fantastic stuff. Here's Toby Ward stuck in the middle. Toby Johns just in front, has to back out of that one. Oh, I think Povey got into the back of Ward there. There was a big old check up in front. I don't think he expected it. And all of a sudden, Toby now finds himself with a front row seat to this battle. Oh, sounded like he was in the wrong gear a little bit there. And I'm afraid Callum Brandt's night seems to be over. As, oh, Toby moving around there a little bit on the brakes. That won't go down too well with the likes of John Roberts. As Simon Povey then gets back past Toby Ward now. He's got Lee Berridge in the picture as well, his teammate. Trying to maybe provide a little bit of defence from Mark Johnson. These are the final point scoring positions as well in this race, and we've got a great train of cars for it all. It's a little bit further spread out everywhere else in the field. Lee Berridge right in the thick of it. Simon Povey trying to get the better of John Roberts now. Toby Johns just in front of him, and at the front of it all is Paul Goffin. And we'll see the cars all fan out as they head down towards turn 1. Toby's going to look down the inside surely. A couple of them moving out. That's Lee Berridge moving past his teammate Toby Ward, but again Toby backs out of it, gets back onto the racing line, and I think, yes, Berridge has gone hot into turn 1, and there's contact with Povey. And less than savoury, Simon. Ayrton Williams still holding on in second place. With Jake Cranston, well, again, just not really attacking at this present moment. He's just sitting there, isn't he? He's just playing the game right now, is Jake. The Masters of Torque driver is just floating along here behind this Aston Martin. Nils Kor is 2 seconds further up the road. Look at that, really hugging the inside line there, Jake. Holding it to the left. Doing everything he can do. He's even looking down the inside a little bit there on Ayrton Williams, but I think it's a bit of a false threat. He's just filling the mirrors at this point. I think he knows that it's going to come down to fuel numbers. This man doesn't really care about fuel numbers right now. I don't think. Nils Kor driving away at the front. Gap isn't massive, but it's enough. He'll be happy with that. Matthias Tem, by the way, has made a move and has got past one of the Prestanda Nomad Aston Martins. He's got past Tom Stanley. Did it down here into turn 4. Gets a good run on the exit of turn 3. And down the inside, thank you very much, he says. Good stuff by Tem. He now remains behind Jamie Pounder, with Tom Stanley still for company though. He's not managed to break away from Tom. A bit further back we've got Dan McCauley putting pressure on Martin Kenyon's McLaren. Kenyon held station so far actually. Qualified 12th. Dan qualified 13th as well. These are two of the only drivers other than our race leader and Tom Stanley to currently be where they started the race. Dan's trying to set up as many moves as he can. As you can see, he takes a bit of a later apex there. So many parts of this circuit that are really hard in these GT4 cars, like that left-hander. Is Dan going to go for the move? Oh, he fills the mirrors. Remains to see whether he can find a way past Kenyon. Looks down the inside into the left-hander. Nice and tasty on the brakes. Does he get it tucked in enough? Yes, he does. Kenyon tried to get some sort of cutback on him there. Didn't quite work, but you could see the thoughts. See what he was trying to do. Need to go a little bit further up because Ben Idris Abdullahi is now on the back of Ian Pfeiffer for 9th place. He's ahead of his teammate Dennis Van Beelen as well now. Ben passed him a little bit ago. Across the line to complete the 10th lap of the race. Race leader Nils Kaur now on lap 11 here at Catalunya. Daniel Parron-Smith's been a bit under the radar. He's a second behind the leading trio and then ahead of this trio, the Prestanda Nomad cars, forming a Fury Simsport sandwich there. I think the bread's a bit off. But some good scraps going on throughout the field so far. Thanks once again to the championship sponsors, Orris Digital, Crockery Direct, Derbyshire Holiday Homes and Bespoke Shelters. Appreciate you all, and appreciate all of you watching so far. Let us know what you think of the race so far, if anybody's going to spring a surprise, anyone that you've got your eye on for the race win, and why is it Jake Cranstone? But Nils Kaur, I mean, he's doing everything right at the minute. 2.4 seconds now the gap to the drivers behind, one of them being his teammate, trying to do him a favour. This is exactly what he and Ayrton need, especially for the team's championship as well. At present, let's not forget that it's Satellite Racing Blue that lead the team's championship from Regenta Sim Racing as well. Apex Racing Academy only have one car here tonight too, so no threat from them as of this evening. Dan McCauley is in 12th place at the moment, so he's on to score some championship points, but not as many as we've seen him score in previous weeks. Had a great run with Lewis at Donington Park, then had a fantastic run at Zolder as well. Not quite piecing it together as much this time round. Speaking of, Matt Slight, by the way, not having a good race here. 20th position for him. It's a real shame to see. We've got cars in the pits now, even though they're hidden behind the timing tower on the left. I'll move the camera for you so you can at least sort of see them down there as they head into their pit box. Quite an extensive amount of cars in there. Ben Idris Abdullahi, Daniel Parron-Smith, Jamie Pounder, Stephen Codman, Martin Kenyon, Dennis Van Beelen, Ben Chalcraft, Ian Pfeiffer, Toby Johns, John Roberts, Mark Johnson, Toby Ward and Kim Such, all in the pits then. As we've had Thomas F in the chat saying 1, 2, 5, 9 and 10 and 11 to finish top 6. So he reckons Nils Kaur, Ayrton Williams, and then I think it was Tom Stanley, wasn't it, before? Or was it Jamie Pounder? Not quite sure. Still, out of those drivers that have pitted, Daniel Parron-Smith is the highest placed of them now. Ben Idris Abdullahi next up, then Jamie Pounder, then Ian Pfeiffer, Stephen Codman and Martin Kenyon. We'll keep our eye out, though, to see when the next drivers come in. And Williams still with his rearview mirrors full of that orange Porsche of Jake Cranstone. Jake has been so consistent, just so ever present in the mirrors of the Aston. No pit stops from these guys yet. Oh, never mind, I eat my words. flying into the pit lane. They're entering that a lot quicker than I thought. You've got to be really careful here when you're the car following. Whoa, goodness me. Very close there between Jake Cranstone and Ayrton Williams. Now, because they have less in the tanks, it means that they cannot get as much out of the fuel tanks in total, but it also means that they can't eke out as many extra laps as they used to be able to. We used to see about 2 or 3 laps difference between the drivers and when they came in. As, oh, Paul Goffin has had a colossal drama here. What on earth has happened there? Oh, goodness me. Paul has hit the end of the pit wall. Oh, he's coultharded it. Oh, goodness me, that's a big old hit, that is. I hope he wasn't holding onto his wheel when that happened. Oh, and he scared the life out of Matt Slight a bit there and all. Look at this. Sorry, Paul, but oh, the car just didn't want to behave itself, and that is a massive impact. Big old impact. Here's Matthias Thames side by side with Ben Idris Abdullahi, the big old BMW. Matthias, let's not forget, was racing Jamie Pounder earlier, and these guys have seemingly done some sort of undercut, have they? They've all pitted, these guys. Everyone in the field except for Matt Slight is pitted. Matt is actually continuing on here and leads the race from Nils Core, but is yet to pit. Look at these four, though, glued to each other. This is brilliant stuff. As Idris Abdullahi moves one way, then Pounder moves the other. Tem is on the inside line. They lean on each other a little bit, and on the exit, they're still side by side. Fantastic racing by these boys. Really, really good stuff. Oh, Tem makes sure that Idris Abdullahi goes all the way over there. Wow. He said, nope, this is my part of the road, mate. You can fit that BMW over there. Car cleaning at home. Hey, up Andy, says Dan Parent-Smith for the win. He's got to hope that things go to pot in front of him. Ayrton Williams has gained a bunch of time on his teammate Nils Core, actually. Jake Cranstone is still behind him. He's not jumped him in the pits. Ian Pfeiffer looks down the inside of the Prestanda Nomad car. Doesn't work for him. Ben Idris Abdullahi all over the back of Matthias Tem. These two came to blows a little bit earlier in the season at the Nürburgring. Hopefully we don't see that again. And Matt Slight is now finally into the pit lane. We'll see what he can make of that and how further forward he will end up, or how much further forward he will end up, I should say. We're nearing the halfway point of the race now. Battle going on in the background there. I think Martin Kenyon has got company. Dennis Van Beelen in the Aston Martin right behind him. Dennis has lost a lot of time in the pit stops. Ben Chalcraft there in the BM just behind them as well, having a bit of a lonely race at the moment is Ben. Kenyon very close to Van Beelen. Dennis makes it down the inside into turn one. Nice clean move, that one. Ben Chalcraft has gained a bit out of that as well, with Martin having to sort of back off to slot back in. They've then got Dan McCauley just up the road, then Stephen Codman. Ben Idris Abdullahi has got the better of Matthias Tem, or he has on the way into the corner anyway. I'm not quite sure on the way out of it. He's going to get a good run around the outside though, and that's going to give him the inside for turn 5. They break at about the same point, turns it in, keeps the BM nice and tidy. Pfeiffer trying to get past Jamie Pounder in the background as well in the Aston. And now, yes, Abdullahi, ooh, gets a bit of a tickle from Tem there as they cross over on the exit. As Pfeiffer gets a run. Now on Pounder. Pounder tries to cover it off on the inside. Doesn't work for him. The two rub panels, and now Pfeiffer is through. The Frenchman makes his run as Pounder wants to go through on the left. Pfeiffer wiggling the car left and right, saying, no, no, no. No, thank you. Is Pfeiffer now going to have the confidence to go after Tem? I think he's more bothered about defending from Jamie at this present moment. Great stuff. Cranstone has got past Ayrton Williams. Jake Cranstone has taken second place on the road. He's got the move done. Let's see how he did it. Down into the hairpin. He's been sat there all race long, pretending that he was going to go for it. Ooh, bit of a netcode contact there from the two of them. Now Ayrton, let's not forget, is racing from Australia, so hopefully they don't get too close together and cause any issues for one another. Jake in the championship lead here, trying to mitigate risk a little bit, and Ayrton goes back through, but now he's on the outside. Jake's back on the inside for turn 3. Ayrton tucks back in behind. Or does he? Whoa, Jake suddenly lost a load of speed there. I'm not quite sure if he's still lifting or something. Are the two of them both trying to fuel save? Is this a bit of mind games? What's going on? Oh, sideways by Ayrton. Tucks the front end of the Aston Martin really deep into the corner at turn 4. Jake comes back over to the right-hand side of the circuit. Hard onto the brakes, tucks it in at turn 5 as Ayrton just hits the back of him. Don't quite think that he expected Jake to be going that slowly on the apex. This has helped out Nils Kor massively. He's now got 2.7 seconds over them. Reigning champion and race leader has disappeared over the horizon. What can you say, though, about Nils Kor? It's a very Nils drive, isn't it? Very cool, calm and collected. Abdullahi, I should say, now moving further away from this bunch. Let's not forget that Ben had an incident earlier on in the race with Callum Brandt. He's still 4 places down from where he started. He qualified on the front row of the grid. He's done really well to regain those places. But then he's still got this gaggle behind. Pfeiffer now in front of Jamie Pounder after a lot of hard work. Can he stay there? As Tem has a bit of drama through the second to last corner. That upsets the car through the final corner as well. Just having a quick look up and down the order, I should say, at the timings, just to see if anyone's got any sort of standout laps or anything. As Pfeiffer, I thought went deep into turn 1 there. He did a little bit. Not as deep as initially imagined. Who's the biggest mover in the field so far? Toby Johns. No, he's not. Ian Pfeiffer is. 9 places gained for Ian. Toby Johns has gained 6. He's the second highest mover in the field. Ian very confident that Jamie Pounder is not going to keep his nose down the inside. Never mind. Jamie hits the back of the Mercedes. Just gives him, that tiniest little lift. And Ian's car bounces off the front. That's freebies for a few of them. Ian is now not the biggest mover in the field. Now it's Toby Johns. He's gained 6 places. In case I hadn't already told you. Matt Slight's still in the points after earlier, but hasn't really gained a massive amount in terms of positions based on his strategy. I'm not sure whether he's going to be pushing a little bit harder in this second stint to try and regain a bit of ground. It's been an interesting race so far, though. A lot of movement up and down the field, as Daniel Parron-Smith has just had a bit of a run wide through the penultimate corner, I'm told. But Jake Cranstone, what can you say about him? I mean, he started 5th on the grid here. Not a particularly bad qualifying. Don't think he started on pole position all season. No, neither he or Taylor Adams, the top 2 in the championship, have actually put the car on pole at all. Jake now wanting to chase down this man, reigning champion Nils Kor. He won last time out at Zolder. It was his first win of the season in his title defence season. And now he's got the taste for it. He wants more. Just into the second half of the race then here at Catalunya. This is the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge Round 12 here on Chaz Draycott Media. Thanks as always to the championship sponsors, Orris Digital, Crockery Direct, Derbyshire Holiday Homes and Bespoke Shelters. And thank you to everybody that is watching along with me. Chaz Draycott at the moment. No Ed May in the commentary box with me tonight, unfortunately. Ed has commitments elsewhere, but I hope he is having a lovely time doing whatever he's doing. We ride on board with Dan McCauley. He's been right behind Stephen Cobman for a while now, tries to get the run. Lovely move out of the little right kink there. Through the long right over the hill, though. Both compromise their run a little bit to make sure they give room to their competitor. Dan is just in front, but I think Codman might have the run. He's going to be on the inside line here. Dan could maybe use that outside line to his advantage, so carry a bit more pace through the corner, and so he does. Dennis Van Beelen is now suddenly on the scene, though, in his chicane online racing Aston Martin. Is he going to be able to do anything with it? He runs a little bit deep, actually, through the long sweeping right. You can see them all sort of putting their left-hand wheels to the left of that curb and running it wide as, oh, Dan McCauley's had a moment in front of the pair of them there. Codman's going to benefit from that, surely. Gets a decent run on him. What's it going to be like down towards turn 1? Dan's going to move just to the middle of the road to defend Ish. Puts the car in the right place though. Codman can't do anything about it. It would have had to have been an aggressive move over to the right-hand side for Stephen to make anything of that. Jamie Pounder just behind these guys is recovering after his earlier contact with Ian Pfeiffer, which obviously lost him time as well. Real shame that for Jamie. He and Tom have been exemplary tonight as, oh, Dennis Van Beelen looks to the inside of Codman. Big lunge up the inside into turn 4 and he's cleared him before the corner exit, I think. Is Codman there with an overlap? No, not quite. Codman breaks early as well. That brings Jamie Pounder into the mix. This is now a quartet battling for position as Dan McCauley has completely got away. In the background there, Martin Kenyon is under pressure from Ben Chalcraft. You can see Chalcraft hopping and skipping over the curbs. He's actually got a really good run down the inside of Martin. Almost backs out of it. There's still a bit of an overlap, but not a massive amount of room down the inside. Ben having to just line up a move at a different point now. But Nils Kaur on to the 19th lap of the race as of now. Continues to hold an impressive 2.8, well, nearly 3-second lead now over Jake Cranstone. Daniel Parron-Smith is only 1.2 seconds behind Ayrton Williams. Second, third and fourth, very evenly spread out right now. Daniel Parron-Smith has been putting in some decent times. His best lap was a 1:49.8. He's just done a 1:49.9. And that's quicker than a bunch of the drivers ahead of him. They're all in the 150s actually. 150.0 for Nils Kaur, 50.2 and 50.3 for Cranstone and Williams respectively. So Parron-Smith now quicker than all of the drivers ahead of him at the moment. Let's go further back a bit because, well, it looks like there's only Dan McCauley on our screen. We've got 4 cars still together. Van Beelen, Codman, Pounder in there as well. Is Jamie going to make a move on Codman? He looks down the inside of him into turn 4. That's where he got caught out a lap or 2 ago, was Codman. Pounder's just got enough room. Ooh, tries to go one way then the other. I thought there was still an overlap there. Jamie doesn't quite get it to work there. Now Dennis Van Beelen is closer to Dan McCauley as well. Dennis is a great character. We've had him in the championship for a few seasons now. As Dan floating that Mercedes sideways through the left over the curb at the right. Yeah, the only car to be in the 149s last time round was Daniel Parron-Smith. He's the quickest car on circuit right now. And he is flying the flag for SRM Black, although I think he's lost a bit of time on this lap. I think he's had a mistake. He's suddenly 1.7 seconds behind Ayrton Williams, unless Ayrton has responded. 49.9 for Nils Kaur. 50.3, 50.1, and then, yeah, 50.6 for Parron-Smith. So he loses half a second to Ayrton Williams, who in turn closes in on Jake Cranstone in front of him. Jamie Pounder and Stephen Codman have both been off the road at the last corner. I think part of some sort of move as Ben Idris Abdullahi continues his recovery through the order at Tom Stanley's expense. Oh, that was close to contact on the exit there. Matthias Tem just behind these guys as well. He's the one with the front row seat now to this Aston Martin versus BMW battle. Looks like the Aston's really well tucked in there through turn 4, doesn't it? Tom Stanley's got a great run on the exit. Not enough to get back past Idris Abdullahi, but look how close he is to the back of him at the apex. The Aston just seems to glue the front end in at certain points. It's really strange how that car works. There's a weird threshold to it where its turn-in is suddenly very, very good, but you have to get it properly nailed. It's a difficult car to master. I mentioned at the top of the broadcast that yours truly will be teaming up with Ed May and Ben Chalcraft for the Evolution Sim Racing GT4 Sprint Series. And we'll be driving this little delight Not the boosted SimSport Porsche, but the Porsche 718 Cayman. The Spontex CDM Esports Cayman. Really looking forward to getting back behind the wheel of that car. Used it for a lot of testing that we did for the fuel levels and stuff, and obviously to test these circuits as well for the calendar. Get a few of us together every so often to test a bunch of circuits out for a series, and one of the real surprises was the Indianapolis layout that we used at the very start of the championship. That was brilliant fun, and we'll be certainly going there again. It provided us with a great first race. There's been a few circuits that have properly caught us off guard. Sorry, just having a drink for a moment there, just taking a sec, because Ayrton Williams has got back past Jake Cranstone. Now, what on earth is this about? Has Jake got a slowdown? Doesn't say Jake's been off the circuit at any point, but potentially a slowdown there for Jake, and that's the problem that he had at Zolder as well, is that he got a couple of slowdowns there and it really thwarted his progress. He's now back down the inside of Ayrton Williams straight away, no holds barred, and look at that, through he goes. Very commanding stuff, but that now means that Nils Kaur has a 5-second lead at the top of this race. And he is really motoring towards not just his second win of the season, but his second win on the bounce. Still 20 minutes left to go yet. Middle stint has been a little bit of a slow burner, but I think there's a few drivers just setting themselves up to be home and dry for the end of the race. When it comes to fuel, I suppose being dry is the last thing you want to be when it comes to fuel. But to run you through it then, we've got Nils Kaur leading the race for Satellite Racing Blue. He's led every lap so far that didn't involve pit stops. Jake Cranstone, second position, with Ayrton Williams just behind him after that fantastic re-overtake. Daniel Parron-Smith holding on well in 4th place. And then behind them in 5th, 6th and 7th, Ben Idris Abdullahi, Tom Stanley and Matthias Tem in the Fury SimSport Mercedes. Then we have, cameraman's going to fall over, Dan McCauley, Dennis Van Beelen, Stephen Codman, Jamie Pounder. Then Martin Kenyon's McLaren is under threat from Ben Chalcraft's BMW. Behind them we have Ian Pfeiffer as well. It'd be great if the scenery could keep up. And I think the camera's going to go out of range before we get to John Roberts. You can just see him in the background there. 15th place for John at the moment. Then it's Toby Johns, Toby Ward and Mark Johnson. These two close together. 17th and 18th, Matt Slight 19th, Kim Such 20th, Paul Goffin, and then Simon Price. And 3 retirees so far. Simon Povey and Lee Berridge after their contact earlier. Callum Brandt also out of the race after he had contact with Ben Idris Abdullahi that put them both in the wall. Ben has recovered really well though, 5th place for him at the moment. Jamie Pounder just got past Stephen Codman, who puts his nose back down the inside. Nearly has a go. And the two of them, if they keep fighting like this, are going to lose Dan McCauley and Dennis Van Beelen, who are just up the road there. Seems like these two are on a very similar pace at the moment. They continue to pound around together in the two very similar cars, the Mercedes-AMG GT and the Aston Martin Vantage. Tom Stanley still on the back of Ben Idris Abdullahi further up. Matthias Tem not quite in touching distance at the moment. But we have now just under 19 minutes left here at Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya, and we have drivers coming into the pits, and that being Ben Idris Abdullahi, the first driver to take his second stop of the race. And there's a few more joining him. Dennis Van Beelen, Stephen Codman also coming in as well. Martin Kenyon next up in the McLaren. Ben Chalcraft will carry on and go through. Ian Pfeiffer does the same. Now let's not forget Matt Slight went a couple of laps longer than everybody else in the first stint. Is he going to be able to do that in the second stint? Not quite sure. It should save him a bit of time in the pit stops, of course, meaning that he's going to be stationary for a lot less. Just seems like Matt's not quite as confident here this evening, which is a big shame. Matt and Taylor have been amazing. Looking forward to when we get Taylor back out on circuit again. He was the championship leader for so much of the season until this man, Jake Cranstone, took over that championship lead recently with just excellent consistency and attendance. Unfortunately, it did come down to attendance when the championship lead changed. But it's one of those things. It happens. Jake Cranstone holding second place at the moment. He's not completely got rid of Ayrton Williams, but he's very, very quick to get back past him, wasn't he? Once Ayrton originally got through. I think Jake did get a slowdown penalty or something from similar to what he's just done there, but he does come into the pit lane, and Ayrton doesn't go with him. And that's interesting. Daniel Parron-Smith also comes into the pits. Be interesting to see where these two slot back out onto the circuit. Looking at the pit stops now, then the highest placed driver that's done 2 stops is Ben Idris Abdullahi, but he was of no threat to those guys that we were just talking about. Tom Stanley and Jamie Pounder both into the pits for Prestanda Nomad in their Aston Martins. Let's have a look, shall we, at how Parron-Smith and Cranstone come back out the pits. They're both going up for tyres, I believe. Parron-Smith does. And he gets going and loses a bit of time to Jake Cranstone. Back out of the pits. No worries from where Ben Idris Abdullahi is. As we've got more and more cars coming in now. Tom Stanley is just coming back out of the pits, so too is Jamie Pounder. Got Toby Johns coming in the McLaren. And Nils Kaur, I think, will be coming in on this lap in his Aston Martin. He now has a 7-second lead over his teammate. This is just so controlled, isn't it, from Nils Kaur. Mark Johnson has unfortunately had a drama as he run out of fuel. What on earth has happened here for Mark Johnson? Not quite sure what that was. Maybe he has run out of fuel. Don't know. We didn't quite hear it spluttering or anything. We didn't get a chance to. Nils Kaur into the pits. Ayrton Williams into the pits. The 2 Satellite Racing blue cars. Jake Cranstone will be the car to watch. And he is making his way down into the left-hander at turn 10. Taito Nation in the chat. Good to see you. Daniel Parron-Smith driving an impressive race, says Alex O'Grady. There's a podium on the cards. I'll have to see what happens in front with these guys. Matthias Tem and Dan McCauley now back into the pits with 15 minutes left on the clock. It's definitely only a 2-stopper, this one. Jake now rounding the final corner. Nils Kaur already moving at the end of the pit lane. There he goes. There's Jake Cranstone at the top of shot. He's now flying down the start-finish straight. I'd argue that he might get ahead of Ayrton Williams here. No. Wow. Definitely not. Poor judgment by me. Great work by Ayrton Williams. Ayrton stays in front for now. Well, gets back in front, I should say. Because let's not forget that Ayrton, before that pit stop, was behind Jake Cranstone. Ben Idris Abdullahi now in 5th. Matthias Tem was in 6th place, but Tom Stanley has just gone through and Matthias is around. Dan McCauley goes through. Comes out of the pits and he's just thrown it. Scandinavian flicks it into turn 1. Unlucky spin there for Matthias Tem. The car got very unsettled as contact between Martin Kenyon and Ian Pfeiffer as we cut back to them. Flash of the lights there by Ian. Clearly not too pleased with that one. This is how it happened. 2 of them right together down towards turn 1. Ooh, bit of a door bang on the way in. Ian on the curb. Oh, I think Ian ran him out of room there, unfortunately. And Martin continues on, and Ian comes off worse. Oh, Jamie Pounder's just made a bit of a mistake there as we cut to him as well. Dennis Van Beelen now right up behind him and his fellow Aston Martin. But it's Nils Kaur, Ayrton Williams, Jake Cranstone, Daniel Parron-Smith and Ben Idris Abdullahi, the top 5. Following them is Tom Stanley, Dan McCauley, Matthias Tem, Jamie Pounder as we see here, Dennis Van Beelen. Matt Slight hasn't done his second pit stop yet. He's up into 11th position. I don't think he made it till after the half-hour point earlier. If he would have done, that would have been absolutely bonkers. But the closest battle on track right now are these three. Jamie Pounder sat in the middle. And Dan McCauley's hoping that none of them get anywhere near him and that this is all a bit peaceful right to the end. He's moved up 6 places, has Dan, from 13th on the grid. He's the biggest mover inside the top half of the field, actually. He's the biggest mover out of everybody. Matt Slight is technically, at the moment, he's gained 7 spots, but still has a pit stop to do. But what can you say about Nils Kaur? 12 minutes left to go, so still plenty of time left in this race. But the reigning champion has been on beautiful form here in this round. Ayrton Williams, his teammate, has done the job as well. Here we're going to see 2 1-2 finishes in a row. Mark Johnson has been back out on track and then back into the pits. Not quite sure what's gone on there. Unfortunately, Mark, it seems, out of the race as Stephen Codman has a drama over some grass and gravel. Jamie Pounder is off. Jamie Pounder is way off the circuit. Says that Dennis Van Beelen got past him. Maybe something to do with it. Pounder down the inside. Oh, puts his nose alongside Tem. I don't think Matthias knew he was there. Let's have another look. Gets alongside. Oh, yeah, not enough room there, unfortunately. And through goes Dennis Van Beelen. Apologies, Dennis, for assuming that it was him that was involved. It was just, it instantly said that Dennis got through. That might be why. Got some inter-Toby warfare going on here. Toby Ward chasing down Toby Johns. The McLaren ahead of the Porsche, both with very jazzy designs on them. One of them I designed, the other one I didn't. And now, Toby trying to carry as much speed through there as he can. The pit lane siren you hear in the background is this car, which is Matt Slight, heading down pit lane in the BMW. I don't know why the rims do that, to be honest with you. He now sits there as he has to watch the field go by. Here's Toby John's McLaren for TAJ Racing. Just a couple more laps left to go. Matt Slight is on the move. I think he's gained a little bit of time on these guys, actually. He didn't gain much in that first pit stop because he would have just completely filled the car up. I think he was 20th for quite a while. He's now going to be just out in front of Toby Johns, it seems. Makes it through turn 1. Toby's actually, I was going to say trying to get the run. He wants that position back ASAP, and he's not going to get it. What about Toby Ward? What can he do? Slight and Johns side by side now, actually. Slight having to defend the inside. Nowhere for Toby Johns to go this time round, though. And into turn 5. Seems all sorted for this lap, anyway. We've got Stephen Codman coming back under pressure from Ben Chalcraft. Ben in the BMW closing in on the Walliams racing machine. And now the pit stops have been done. The biggest movers in the field are Dan McCauley and Dennis Van Beelen at 6 places each. The two of them started 13th and 15th on the grid. They are now 7th and 9th, respectively. As we stay on board with Ben Chalcraft. A couple of retirements so far, as you can see at the bottom of the screen. But it's 2 Aston Martins leading 2 Porsches. Nils Kaur's gap has gone up to 8.3 seconds now. He's really on the move. Ian Pfeiffer back into the pits. Now, what could that be? Is that a drive-through penalty for incidents? I believe it will be. Yeah, it's nothing to do with fuel, unfortunately, for Ian. He'll be very, very frustrated with that one. Has to crawl his way down the pit lane. Loses a place to John Roberts. Matt Slight is going to be the next one to come alongside. Should be... he's actually not close enough. And Pfeiffer holds on to 15th, but not the sort of result he would have been after with his consistency earlier in the season and a race win, let's not forget, on his home turf at Lebanon as well. One of the most popular results of the season, that is. It was great to see Ian get that victory. We look now at Stephen Codman. Closest pairing on track at the moment, Stephen Codman and Ben Chalcraft. Thought I could hear the pit siren going off in the background there, but there was no cars going into the pit lane. As we see, Ben is getting closer and closer right now. Starting to put the Walliams machine under pressure. And he wants into that top 10, does Ben. Started 16th on the grid, did Ben. So to gain a top 10 finish from that will be a really strong result. As Codman scrapes the belly of the Mercedes along that curb tenfold. Across the line again they go. We're on the 29th lap of the race now. Our race leader, Nils Kort, still carrying on. Mark Johnson has said that he had a fuel issue. He said it was the second stop where it was turned off. So that is why his race came to an end, unfortunately. Sorry to see it, Mark. Hopefully better fortunes next time out in 2 weeks when we head to Zandvoort. We go back to the Netherlands. Should be loads of fun. Really looking forward to that. Nils Kort will be just happy to be out on his own at the moment. It's quite the lead that he's got. 9 seconds over his teammate Ayrton Williams. Just under 6 minutes left on the clock. And it's safe to say round 12 of the championship has been a bit more of a sedate affair than we've seen before. Coming from the likes of Donington Park, where we had the 2 sprint races in the wet, which were absolutely spectacular. This has been a bit of a chilled one, to be honest with you. There's still been some great battling as, Ben Idris Abdullahi into the pits. Is that, down to the incident points, is that a drive-through penalty, or does he have to take a splash and dash? The BMW is usually very good on fuel. He's moving over to his pit box. And he's up on the jacks. How very strange. 8.2 second stop for Ben Idris Abdullahi. Now, is he the only one that's going to be doing that? Did he underfuel the car? How strange. How very strange. Very, very weird. We'll have to try and see whether we can get a word from him on that. As Matthias Tem losing a few places. I think he maybe had a slowdown penalty there. He was hugging the inside line of the circuit. He was staying out of the way as if he knew that he was slower than the others. As he's still hugging the inside line. What on earth is going on here? Now that was Jamie Pounder going past him. I'm wondering... Tem is now back up to speed again. Was Tem waiting all that time for Jamie Pounder? If he was, that is colossal sportsmanship. Because he's now back up to full speed now Jamie's gone back through. Wow. Fair play to Matthias Tem. Fair play. If that's what the case is, I mean, that's how it looks. If it was a slowdown penalty and that's coincidence, then whoops. But even still, that's remarkable sportsmanship if that's what he's done there, is slow all that way down and give up that many positions to allow Jamie Pounder back through. Back inside the top 10 now is Jamie for Prestanda Nomad. Ben Chalcraft now in 9th place. 7 places gained for him. Dennis Van Beelen has gained 8. Dan McCauley has gained 7. And the only car that is currently where it started this race is this man, Nils Cole, leading the race here at Catalunya. And he's been leading it for the majority. Well, for almost the whole thing, actually. Isn't that what majority means, Chaz? Probably. You know what I mean. He's led it for almost every lap, except the ones where there was pit stops involved and a few people overtook him temporarily. Here's Ben Idris Abdullahi then. 2 minutes 20 left on the clock. And I think... Ooh. Are we going to get another 2 laps? Is this going to stretch out here? And is this going to start putting a question mark over everybody's fuel levels? Because I think that Nils Cole is going quickly enough here to get 2 more laps on the board. It's about 1 minute 50 for a lap. And by a couple of seconds, Nils Cole is going to take us an extra lap further. So I hope everybody's got enough fuel. A number of them will calculate. I mean, a number of them calculated last week to do 1 lap extra. So a bunch of them had too much fuel. Or just enough. Whereas some drivers didn't have enough in the car to make it to the end. I think it was Toby Johns that ran out on the final lap at Zolder. He's got Toby Ward right behind him now in the Porsche. And you can hear a big lift there from Toby. Whoa! And no such lift from Toby Ward. Nearly goes straight to the back of him. That was bizarre from Toby Ward. He was like a Dazzle camo purple cruise missile there. Not quite sure what that was all about. I mean, he stayed close to the back of Toby Ward now. Seems like Toby is backing out from a few corners here. I think maybe he's having to save fuel because he's suddenly found out that there's going to be another lap after this. Is Nils Cole going to do anybody a favour? He's now gaining a lot of time on Ayrton Williams. I wonder whether Ayrton isn't going to make it to the end, because literally the time is ticking up to Nils Cole. Although I imagine they'd have worked together here and they'll be on a similar strategy. We'll see. Nils Cole, 2 corners left to go, 20 seconds left on the clock. As he rounds the final corner, there's going to be another lap. Satellite Racing Blue driver won last time out at Zolder, and he's going to want to do it again. Barney will be dusting off the white flag. And across the line goes Nils Cole. Then Ayrton Williams. See if you can see Barney anywhere with a flag. No, actually. I couldn't anyway. Maybe you lot can, I'm blind. We've got Stephen Codman and Ben Chalcraft still together. Ben wanting P8 for car 8. Not quite sure if he's going to get it because Stephen's been very resilient so far. Having a good old run. What's Stephen's points total like so far this season? Best results so far in the championship scored him 9 points, which would have been a 12th place finish in a sprint race and in a feature race actually. So this is by a bunch of positions his best result if he stays there. Jamie Pounder battling with Matthias Tem. Tem has got back past him. And Matt Slight is having to come back into the pit lane to make it on fuel. Not good. Not good. You've got to feel really gutted for him. He's had a very, very poor night by his standards. It's not been the Matt Slight that we've seen before. We hope to see him come back strong in 2 weeks' time at Zandvoort. But right now, we need to look to the very front of the field, away from Ben Idris Abdullahi, because as he rounds the final couple of corners, after not winning for the first 10 races here in Season 5 of the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge, where he comes here to defend his title, Nils Cole wins back-to-back races at Catalunya. He's the second driver to do so this season, and he does a brilliant job to win by over 10 seconds here tonight from his teammate Ayrton Williams, who scores the team's second 1-2 finish in a row Brilliant job by both of those boys. Jake Cranstone, third. Welcome back to the championship. Daniel Parent-Smith, fourth place for him. A brilliant drive indeed. And lovely points as well for Tom Stanley. Fifth position for him. And the Prestanda Nomad team will be delighted. Dan McCauley from 13th on the grid makes it up to 6th. He'll be delighted with that as well. So too will Dennis Van Beelen. 15th up to 7th. A great drive indeed. Stephen Codman just beats Ben Chalcraft to the line. And Jamie Pounder eventually re-overtakes Matthias Tem on the final lap. Ben Idris Abdullahi and Martin Kenyon are next up. Then we're going to see John Roberts make his way round in the McLaren. He's going to finish the race in 14th position. I think Ian Pfeiffer will be the next car just in the background there in the Satellite Racing Mercedes. What about this battle, the inter-Toby warfare? There's a bit of damage on Toby John's McLaren. Not quite sure what's caused that. It might have been the other Porsche that's right behind him, as the two of them were glued to each other to the line. But it's going to be Toby Johns that just beats Toby Ward. The two of them providing colossal entertainment there towards the end. Who's next? Paul Goffin. With a couple of corners left. We'll then have... Oh, it sounds like Paul's having to back out of this and go very slowly there. He's not right up the rev range. Maybe making it a bit close on fuel. Matt Slight just behind him. Not a good night for Matt. 2 points, though. Still gets some points in the championship. And I believe this is going to be the first championship point of the season for Kim Such. Makes his way around the last corner. Car number 29. Maybe the last car to cross the checkered flag or cross the start-finish line. But he will get a championship point. His first point of the season. Well done to Kim. And he won't be the last car to cross the line, actually. I think... Oh, no, Simon Price, yeah. He'd already finished when Nils Kaur... sorry. He was a lap down in the end with Simon. But Nils Kaur... What can you say? Nils Kaur and Ayrton Williams together... Absolutely formidable in that race there. Brilliant, brilliant scenes. Lovely race that at Catalunya, a bit more of a chilled one compared to what we've seen before in previous rounds, but still, great entertainment from the SRM GT4 Challenge. Satellite Racing Blue first and second, then Nils Kaur and Ayrton Williams with Jake Cranstone in third. Another podium for him on a very consistent run. Daniel Parent-Smith, welcome back. Fourth place for him ahead of Tom Stanley with Dan McCauley and Dennis Van Beelen. Both of them doing a great job there tonight to gain 7 and 8 places each. Stephen Codman was 8th with Ben Chalcraft also gaining 7 spots into the top 10. Jamie Pounder completes the top 10 drivers. Matthias Tem finishes 11th after a great showing of sportsmanship. Ben Idris Abdullahi will be wondering what might have been. And Martin Kenyon finishes in 13th. Some good points for him. John Roberts gets points as well in 14th ahead of Ian Pfeiffer, Toby Johns and Toby Ward. Paul Goffin was 18th. Matt Slight was 19th. And as mentioned, Kim Such gets his first championship point of the season. Behind that we had Simon Price, Mark Johnson, Simon Povey, Lee Berridge and Callum Brandt did not finish the race. So then, let's see how far we can skip back to much earlier on in the race. And we'll see who we've got for a chat here. And yes, we do have our race winner. We jump into him mid-conversation. Apologies, Nils. But welcome to the booth, mate. You must be very pleased now. You get one win, and then, what's the phrase? They're like buses. When you get one, they all come along at once, 2 in a row.
Good evening, Chaz. Yeah, very happy about this. Especially as we also got another 1-2 in, just like last week. And to top it off, we also got the pole this time, which I gotta give a big shout out to Ayrton for giving me some nice draft there. And I couldn't have improved after, because I definitely took all the tires on that lap already.
I was going to say, it's one of those things, isn't it, where teamwork is very, very important in this sort of championship, but mainly in qualifying, when you can really give each other that tasty slipstream.
Yeah, definitely. I think actually on one lap pace, Ayrton seemed to be a bit quicker, but he couldn't really get the lap together himself, but it was still enough for P3, and we timed the start well, so he instantly got up to P2.
Yeah, it worked really, really nicely at the start, and obviously you just managed the gap from there. What was the Aston Martin like round here tonight? Was it a bit of a pig, or was it all right?
It was really good, actually. You have to be very careful with your tires, and I think that was really the key tonight. That's why I was able to pull quite a gap in the end, because the others were fighting each other, and sometimes I think Jake at one point was pushing quite hard to try and catch me up, and I think he and Dayton both just kind of ruined their tires in the end and couldn't really do much.
Yeah, well, it certainly worked out for you, Nils, and it was great to see that. 2 wins on the bounce now, so obviously some big championship points. And then, yeah, obviously we've got a quarter of the season left to go. Are you going to enjoy the week's break, or are you going to be preparing for Zandvoort?
I will
have a week off,
yeah.
Mate. Have a week off, yeah.
I will see what I will do. I think there's also the Bathurst 1000 coming up, so maybe I'll try that.
That'll be a laugh, I can imagine. It's always a bit of a riot. But yeah, a fantastic night for you, Nils. Great to see another race win in your championship defence season, and we look forward to seeing you at Zandvoort. But is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before you go?
Yeah, big shout out to Satellite Racing, my teammates Ayrton and Ian, and our sponsors. Yeah.
Well, great to speak to you, Nils. Lovely as always, mate, and we look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks' time. Enjoy the week off.
Thank you. See ya.
There we go. Defending champion Nils Court doing a mighty fine job so far this season, continues to impress. And a driver that I want to speak to that I've not spoken to in quite a while is the man that finished in 7th place in that race but was our biggest mover in the field, Dennis Van Beelen. Dennis, you must be absolutely buzzing with that one, mate, because it looked mighty tough out there in qualifying. There was a bunch of drivers that weren't quite where we expected.
Yeah, I wasn't on the pace this track, so I was really happy with the race result because I took a gamble. I didn't test my strategy, and my strategy was to just take front tires on the first pit stop because this track is so tough on the tires. And it kind of worked out because in the last stint I was matching the front, which was a good gamble, I guess.
Absolutely, yeah. Plenty of places gained. 8 in the end, and you were chasing down Dan McCauley as well for a lot of that too. Dan just finishing ahead of you in the end, but still it's great when you've got somebody to sort of move through the pack with like that, isn't it? You can sort of track your progress through somebody else. It's strange, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Especially the first 2 stints. And in the first stint I was kind of lonely. I was like catching them, but in the first 2 stints I was matching some of the guys ahead, and I was drafting them a bit. Also I was just really lucky this race with a bit of incidents at the front. My teammate didn't make it, although he qualified P2. But yeah, I got lucky with incidents, had a good strategy, and yeah, all in all, pretty happy.
Smashing stuff, and obviously a lot of track time there with your teammate as well. Ben Idris Abdullahi at in the BMW. It's a difficult one, isn't it, when there's 2 different cars in one team where you try and sort of give each other information like that, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. They're not the same. The BMW usually is a lot more understeery, but has a bit more straight line speed, especially at the end of the straights. But their tire wear is better. I know that because I drove the BMW with Nils last season. And for the Aston Martin, the tire wear is a bit more rough, but you have less understeer to compensate. So they're different, but they're the same. But normally, when he doesn't have damage, Ben is quicker. Is the quicker driver of the 2. But he had a bit of damage, unfortunately.
Yeah, indeed. It was a shame to see that after such a great qualifying from him. But still, strong points for both of you and for the team, of course. Are you excited for Zandvoort, your home race?
I'm buzzing for that. I'm really looking forward to it. I should know the track probably better than anyone. I'm there quite often, so I'm looking forward to that.
Well, we look forward to seeing you again there as well. Dennis, is there anyone you'd like to give a quick shout out to while we've got you?
Yeah, definitely to my teammate Ben. He had such an amazing quali. Unfortunately, the race didn't pan out, but to Ben and Chicane Online Racing for sure.
Great stuff, Dennis. Great to speak to you as always, mate, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Cheers.
Yeah, see you at Zandvoort. Have a good evening.
Cheers, you too. And who else should we grab in? We do have Ayrton Williams in there, but I'm going to actually choose Daniel Parron-Smith. Daniel, welcome to the commentary box, mate. Great to see you back in the championship after a bunch of race meetings away. You must be pretty happy to have come straight back into it and have a result like that.
Yeah, 100%. Wow, it's been, 4 or 5 weeks of no sim at all, as I've just started a new job, so
fair play.
to come back and have no practice either, I just jumped straight on and just thought I'd give it a go, and P4, I'll take that. What a result.
I was going to say, you had to get your elbows out a little bit in parts of the race as well. It was very, very close between everybody in the first few laps, wasn't it? There was no room at all to sort of make any errors.
Nah, yeah, you have to be so consistent, like, and I'm sweating in my sim seat as well, so I just kept making a few mistakes, so I dropped back, but no, it was a good race.
And what's it been like adjusting to a championship like this then with such a set strategy, especially as now it's different to when you joined us at the start of the season? It's a very different kettle of fish, isn't it, with the fuel limits and so on?
Yeah, well, I didn't actually know the fuel had changed, to be honest. I completely forgot. So when he said 2 laps to go with 40 minutes to go, I thought I was screwed. But my race engineer, Jensen Burnett, helped me out, so it was pretty sweet.
Cracking stuff. Well, it's great to see you back in the championship, mate, and obviously flying the flag for SRM as well. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before you go?
Yeah, I'll shout out Jensen Burnett, Daniel Kelleher, Alex O'Grady, and my team, Drew, Paul, and everyone in SRM.
Cracking stuff. Well, thank you as well for bringing the guys to the YouTube chat. It's always lovely to see the support from them, and hopefully speak to you again at Zandvoort, mate. But enjoy the week off, and it's good to have you back.
Yeah. Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Daniel Parron-Smith there doing a wonderful job for the SRM team. As always, great to have him back in the series, and great to have another race evening completed here on Chaz Draycott Media for the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge. That is unfortunately all we have time for though tonight. Round 12 of the championship may have been a slow burner, but I tell you what, it was a big scorer for Satellite Racing Blue, who take another massive stride forward in the teams championship, and Jake Cranstone scores another podium to continue on his fantastic run of form in the drivers championship. We have a week off next time round, as you've heard, so if you join us in 2 weeks on the 8th of October, we'll bring you rounds 13 and 14 from Zandvoort. I'm mighty excited for that one. A home race for Dennis Van Beelen and for Matthias Tem. Let's see how they get on home soil. But for now, thanks very much for watching. Thanks as always to the championship sponsors, and we will see you in 2 weeks' time. Four French drivers at the French Grand Prix trying to win this on the final lap. The 3 wide again, Guillaume down the inside. Guillaume moves across. They're both in front of Milan and Pouget.
But before you know it, we find ourselves here in the very final race of the competition.
And then they see truck racing and they think, this is crazy. You know, these are 5-ton machines, 1,200 horsepower brake.
Oh, look at that switchback. Oh, you can look and a drift to show off. Back there, go on board with Ben Gregory now. I love it. 16.5 minutes gone. Senna Lanson tries to go for the race lead.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.